Hey, feel I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I'm in the mood for a switch up. Leave with money that's a sticker. Hit the rose till I hiccup. So I told him I'm a leave with money that's a sticker. I'm in the mood for a change, so I told him I'm a city in return with my change. I'm in the mood for a change. Don't remember how they pay in return with my change. But somehow I just stay up. Straight from the mud like Ruby. Straight to the stage, they love me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
I'm Ron.
And today we are here to talk about BMF. This is season 1, episode 7, and it was titled All in the Family. So if you guys hang tight, we'll be right back with you. Everybody, we are back. This is the second to last episode of this new season of BMF. I would say this episode, we didn't get too much further than we were before, but at least we're still chasing after Lamar. We gotta get into that whole situation, but I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this Nicole ordeal first, since that's kind of where the episode began. And it seemed like, Tiffany, you might have been right. Yeah, I thought Nicole might have like some blame on herself, but she was focusing it all on Meech. She was pissed with him.
I told you, listen, Lamar came after them as a direct result of what happened with them snatching Zoe. So it is because of their foolishness that Darius is dead.
Yeah, I really thought that I was going to see her like say, maybe we shouldn't have ran. Maybe we should have kept the security with the nope. It was all on me.
They shouldn't have. They shouldn't have. She did run off and she shouldn't have. But think about why they needed security in the first place.
Mm-hmm. You're right. It all comes back to Meech. So
Meech is on my hands list this week, y'all. I'm just saying that right now.
And I think Terry kind of had, some feelings towards Meech this week too, because Meech was kind of talking about the business and how if Nicole gets pulled in, like, what if she says the wrong thing or something like that? He's like, our sister was just basically abducted. Her boyfriend was murdered. And that's all he worried about.
That's why he's on my hands list, because the insensitivity. Because the reality is, I get it. You don't want her to snitch to the police. I get where he was coming from. But it was timing, bruh. Your little sister almost got shanked. And because of y'all. And in that moment, that's where you go. Like, nah. So that's why I want to put him on the hands list this week. And then even like, he's like, oh, well, we're going to send him off right with, with the funeral and everything and stuff. Like, that's enough. At least Terry, I was feeling Terry this week because at least Terry does have a conscience. And Terry was like, I'm going to go show my respect. And everything. He even gave Nicole the sense, he apologized to her. He was humble and he took ownership and was like, the mother was right. It's my fault and stuff. And that's why you saw that she relented and she was like, it's not your fault. And that's what Meech needed to do.
You got a point there. I was a little taken aback by Darius's mother. she had no cut cards. She let them have it straight, no chaser.
She grieving.
She should have.
She's grieving.
Yeah, she should have. And and you say Terry showing some guilt. Well, yes, he paid for the funeral. He should have. But I don't know. It's kind of brazen to me that you're responsible for this child's death all the way around because of your drug dealing. And then you show up in church where everybody's going to be, and you know that everybody knows, and yet you still have enough nerve to show up. And, I know you want to be respectful, and you did that paying for it. But
Meech paid for it. He was showing his respect.
Well, I'm saying he, in the sense of the brotherhood and the organization paying for the funeral. They should have done that, and they did that. And I'm good with that. But I'm saying that putting yourself out in the public eye, because your business organization was responsible for the death of this child, is a little over the top for me, because what else can you expect from the mother of a child who has been killed for this violence, drug violence? So that was a little awkward for me, but hey,
I think it was, but I keep coming back to the fact that they are children. And Terry is still very much under the influence of his parents and his kind of Christian upbringing. And so I think the guilt weighs heavily on him. Because I think it was more so his conscience that pulled him there.
Exactly.
And not so much thinking of how the mother might feel about it. I think he, out of guilt, felt like he needed to be there. One, in support of his family, and two, to recognize the humanity that the little boy died. You can't just let that be recognized. And it's almost Meech didn't even know the funeral was happening. And I can see the mom being angry, but it's almost like you taking it out on the mom, not recognizing that she is as grieved by their drug dealing as everybody else in that church.
Yes.
But that's what it looked like. It's true to form. I mean, that's how it would happen. It would happen like that. And yeah, they're children, but they're playing up they're in grown man's clothing. And you can't have it both ways. You can't be in this business and still be childlike or minded. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but you either have to understand. And one thing with LaWanda this week, I'm glad she well, first of all, I'm glad Lucille pulled up on LaWanda and said, okay, it's you. You are enabling this boy because yes, you're all right. There's some good in Terry. And we saw that, this whole episode. But either you're in or you're out, because it's not something that you can just straddle the fence with. You're either going to be all in or all out. And that's where I find Terry right now, straddling the fence.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to find out what he does, since LaWanda gave him that ultimatum.
He said he wasn't going to leave the streets alone. He said that in the second episode. So he's not going to leave the streets alone. I see a breakup on the horizon, because he said, I'm not. He said, I love this. And I know he loves his family. I think they're going to be in a co-parenting situation, honestly.
I think so too, because they are kids playing in an adult world, but that's never going to make up for the fact that they just don't have the years in. They do not have the life experience to kind of foresee the consequences of some of the decisions that they're making, right? So they're always going to be lacking, and they're always going to make mistakes just because they are young, playing in an adult game without that experience. And so I think that's going to be always part of the issue. It's going to be always a part of the conflict that they have with each other, that they have in the business, that they have with their parents, just because they lack that. And there's no way you can get that except to acquire it and to live longer. That's the only way you get it, right?
Well, he has a son now. And when he said that earlier, he didn't, so true. My thing is, now you have a child, and young or old, there's a decision that has to be made, because now you bring in a baby into this whole scenario. And 16 or 26, you still have the mentality to understand where you are, to understand the problems that you're bringing into your family. So whether he stays or not, these are the things that are against him right now, that are pulling against him. So if it were me, I know I would make my decision, and I know which way my decision would go. But again, that money is evil. That money draws you in, and you just can't get away from all that money that's being made. As which one was it, Meech Meech said that we're in too deep. Yeah, because that money.
It's not just money; it's power. Too.
Well, we correlate the two because of the organization, money and power. And when you're in that deep, that's what you're driven by. And I think Charles, who, I like Charles this week. He did up in the right places, but he sees all that. And yet Lucille still wants to have that hope. I know she's a mom. I get it. Y'all don't have to beat me up with it. I know what it's about.
No, but she said that she knew that she reached Terry. And she did reach him though. She did. She did, because he had a conscience. And he had a conscience. He said what he said to Meech. He also showed up at the funeral and everything. He does have a conscience. Of the two,
but not
he has more of a conscience.
But not deep enough to get him out.
But you could tell that the words, especially as Pastor Swift was giving his sermon or whatever, you could tell that the words were reaching him, and he was seeing his actions are affecting an entire community. And then, like, as he's preaching, this is how I found it hard to believe. And I know it had to be denial for Lucille, because everybody else in that church knew and was side-eyeing the family.
They sure were looking over it.
And I'm like, there's no way they didn't know. They just had to be in denial about it, or just didn't want to face the fact. But everybody else around them knew.
Well, you know what happened?
Was in denial.
But you always know what happens. The kids at school go home, they find out, and they go home and tell their parents, sister such and such son is doing this. And so the parents would always know. They don't have the luxury of being in denial, because their kids are going to come tell.
And you know what? I like Lucille. I like the fact she played it off. I mean, what else you going to do when you're in there? You're going to sit there and pretend like they ain't talking about me. So
it's still your child,
it's still your child. Yeah. So.
But she's going hard for Terry. She actually went back to Karen and got her services again as the lawyer. And so it looks like that's back on track. And so, I mean, she's trying to get that money, and she still has hope that she can get Terry away somehow.
Getting the money is part of trying to get him away.
Right.
Like maybe they can send him away with the lawsuit money. And thank goodness they ain't take Charles, because they wouldn't have been able to get that lawyer back on board had he gone. He totally blew it for them.
Well, he said that he's taking Nicole now. So I don't know exactly where they plan to go, but I wasn't mad at his decision to uproot the family and try to get away from the situation, because the block is truly hot. I mean, how do you deal with that? Your son has already been shot, and then your daughter is, almost kidnapped and murdered the next couple of weeks. It's like so much going on, and it's hitting very close to home. So I don't blame him.
No, I don't blame him either.
I think it was a rational, responsible decision to make.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you stay here.
Right.
So what do we do? So how does he get to his wife, Lucille? I mean, what does he have to do? And maybe, I guess I should be answering that question as a man, but how does he get to Lucille? Because Lucille has got to see what everybody else sees.
I don't think he can. She's going to have to come to that realization herself, because if you think about it, the boys came and offered them, told them they needed to leave because they created a dangerous situation for them. They opted to stay. I'm not going to be put out of my own house, and then this is what happens, right? Mm-hmm. So Charles gets it. It's going to take her a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. And for Terry, I kind of felt bad for him when Darius's mom was saying, it should be yours. She was telling Lucille, but she was saying it should be your son and not mine. And I think that kind of hit home for Terry, because he's looking at this like, look at what we've done. Look at all the things that we've been into. Why would it be this innocent child versus us who are mixed up in all of these things? Mm-hmm. And so I feel bad for everybody in the whole situation, but I do know that, the morality of the whole ordeal weighs heavily on Terry.
But Lucille knows that. I mean, she's fully aware of it. It's just that she just doesn't want to believe how deep Terry is in, because she said to LaWanda, she said, they're in so deep that only one or two things can happen, that he'll either be killed or go to jail. Right. So she's fully aware of where they are foot-wise, but the point being is, I guess, in all parenting, and unless you have a child, you really don't know this. When you have children, at some point, you gotta put your foot down and cut it off and say, okay, you're grown, or you're grown-ish, and what you're doing is causing this to happen, and I have to step back, and you're either going to have to make this decision for yourself, because there's only so much fighting Lucille can do for Terry. Meech is probably a lost cause, like Charles believes he is. I hate to I hate to throw away anybody, any child, but he's a lost cause. Like you said.
I mean, it kind of is what it is. I mean, Nicole held down the fort. She didn't rat anybody out.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. I don't know if the cops are done questioning her, but at least she's off the hook for now. But based on Meech's actions, I mean, we can see he's in a completely different headspace than Terry, because he's plotting a murder. So he's out here trying to hire hitmen to take down Lamar. And I was like, this is a big change, because so far we have seen Meech have the attitude that I'm going to try to work my way around any violence. I'm going to try to talk my way out of it. This
but
week,
he came after his sister.
Yeah.
So that really crossed the line too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
you come after family, man, right. That you really drawing a line. Right. But one thing I wanted to say before we delve more into that was, and I don't know if they were right to do this, but the police, I was annoyed when the mother said, the police told me that they don't think Nicole is telling the truth. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, now, Nicole is a child. Was she 13, 14, whatever? I was like, was the police supposed to say that to Darius' mother? Like what? Like, I don't know, because I feel like Nicole was victimized too. While she did not lose her life, a man tried to snatch her and everything. And I just was like, when I heard it, I was like, what? The police?
Yeah, hearsay.
Police not that I think that they above that, because I don't. No. But I'm just saying, I was just like, okay, is that ethical?
No, I don't believe it is.
I think they have a different set of rules, and they can do almost, because they can lie to a suspect. Yeah. So they are allowed to do that. But I think what they were trying to do is put pressure on them through external forces, right? Because it's one thing to say she's lying. The other thing is she's shocked. She's in shock and she's traumatized too, right?
Right.
There's a way for them to do it, but at the end of the day, their goal is to solve the murder. And so they're going to be, and then I step back from it. Aside from that, they do have a responsibility to the parents to give them as much information. So if you were Darius' parents, you would want as much information about the case.
Right.
But they're spreading so about the case. That's rumored. They don't know that to be factual. And you can incite a riot in that certain situation with the parents, because now that you've given
because they think that Nicole is lying. They don't have proof that she's lying. But they told the mom that Nicole, they think that Nicole is lying, and what happened and stuff like that. And then the mom is confronting Nicole, a child.
And in my rare instances,
for them that maybe I should be appalled, but I'm just like, that is what they is. So I don't really expect the high ground. Maybe we're supposed to expect the more high ground from them, but I'm like, you understand what the organization
is. Like I said, I was just annoyed by that, and I shouldn't expect more.
No, and we don't. I don't expect them to be.
Right. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Now, I can tell you what I didn't like is when Brian and Lopez went to the hospital and said, no, this little girl, this adolescent, this child is coming with us without an adult.
I wouldn't let her go.
Or older
they didn't know they couldn't take her unless they were trying to arrest her. They couldn't just take her. She could say, I'm coming.
Drive her to the station. It was like the parents will meet you at the station. I'm like, well, why didn't they drive her up there?
Exactly. There's no way I would let them go. I'd be like, well, no, my parents, she'll come with my parents.
Exactly. This is my little sister. Y'all ain't taking her nowhere. Unless you're taking me with you, you're not going anywhere with her. And he would have had that right as being the older brother. Which one's older? Meech. Yeah. He would have been within his right to say, no. You're not taking my little sister anywhere off by yourself. No.
The relationship is not clear cut because of the relationship he has with Brian, right? So I think there's always a game of chess being played with those two anyway. So maybe that was his decision to acquiesce, because one, I know he's not gonna hurt her, because if she gets hurt, I get hurt, then you get hurt.
True.
But Meech knows the background about Brian. That's why if I were Meech, no, you ain't taking my little sister nowhere, because I know what you're capable of. I don't know how far you're able to go, but I know what you're capable of. So unless I'm going with you, my sister's staying here with me.
Right. But what LaWanda's saying that Meech knew that Brian is a silent partner.
Right. And also I know where to find you.
Exactly.
So that's a good point. And so we talked a little bit about this plot to go down to kill Lamar, which was an epic fail because I mean Tiny and his crew got up in the house. It seemed like it was about 3 of them. And somehow they only managed to shoot him in the arm and he jetted out the house somehow. I'm like, it seemed like they had all the doors covered. I don't know how he got out, but he rolled out.
Listen, if he is not like Omar in The Wire, that dude always got away, jumping down flights of balconies and stuff like Spider-Man. I'm telling you, like, he is just like the character Omar from The Wire.
And what does he do but go and bust up into Monique's house?
Poor Monique.
I know. Lamar is just a terrorist to everybody. I mean, he goes in there asking for a place to lay his head, at least for the day, and he completely sabotages himself when he's choking her up and slapping her around.
Yeah, like, she punched him in the arm that he was hurting. Not that I'm taking up for him because he shouldn't have been there, and he had no business putting his hands on Monique. And I think he would have killed her if Zoe ain't coming.
Right.
That would call him.
Girl, I don't know what you were thinking. You know, you cannot threaten the police with people like Lamar. You know, you got to try to play that one smooth because you already know he crazy. And she keeps threatening to call the cops on these known big drug dealers in the area, and it's getting her in trouble. She got to chill.
That's because she got a little street in her and she thinks she can just get away with every little thing. But, you know, like, yeah, sometimes you just got to shut up. And, you know, that would have been a precious moment to just be quiet because the man's, like you said, he's beyond crazy. He's one of those, you know, when Ronald Reagan shut down all the mental institutions in D.C. and just let everybody out, like St. Elizabeth just opened the door and said, hey, y'all go on and be about the streets. Lamar had to have been in one of those. You know,
no, you're right.
He is crazy.
He really is. And like you said, Tiffany, if it wasn't for Zoe, I think Mo might have been a goner. She would have got it real bad. In terms of a relationship, I don't think there's any way he could ever come back with Zoe.
Not with Zoe. Now Zoe done seen that. He done put hands on mom. Yeah. And you see, Monique gave up the spot to his cousin's house too. After that, she's like, "F that! He put hands on me. His cousin stay here,
right?"
And I don't blame her.
Yeah, and even
I sent the location through the phone.
Yeah, I mean, he went to the location she talked about, and still he wasn't there. And so it was like a big wild goose chase to try to track Lamar down this week, and he just managed to slip away. So he's still a problem for next week.
And he's a bigger problem for Mo because now that he escaped, I'm sure he knows the only person that could have gave up that address was Mo. And, you know, he may even come back on her now. So, I mean, oh, what a tangled web we weave. I mean, she, you know, when you're dealing into that life.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, you know what? Because he's on the loose and everything, I think Meech would take precautions to protect Mo. Because when he was leaving there, he was like, you know, he did this to you. He was like, I got you. So, and he cares about Zoe too. So I think that he will take precautions to protect Mo, knowing that he's still on the loose.
I mean, especially if you've seen that bag of guns that Lamar was tacking up. I mean, he had like 6, 7 guns.
He had a rope. He was ready to kidnap. He's ready to go to war all by himself.
A one-man army.
But he's gonna have to. He has no allies.
No.
Well, he got somewhat of an ally for now. I mean, we seen what happened with this situation with Kato. So, I mean, he rolled up in B. Mickey's spot, which I kind of felt like that. I thought it would have been at Kato's house, but I was right about him rolling up and B. Mickey seeing him leaving. So that whole ordeal, I mean, Kato is really in a tough spot because Lamar basically told her, like, you gonna kill Meech or I'm gonna kill you.
Which is why I think she's the best one out of them all to get Lamar. because.
And she told me, Mickey, she was like, let's take Lamar down ourselves.
Right.
Yes.
And B. Mick, as much as I hate to give you credit for that statement that you made, Tiffany, way, way back, that women are a man's kryptonite. I keep seeing it over and over and over and over again. And every time I see it, I think of you, and I get this, she's right again, damn it. So,
yeah. I mean,
and I was like, and let me clarify, because I know some of my subscribers don't like when I say that, because I don't mean it in a negative way towards women, but I am just saying that we are y'all weakness. We are y'all weakness. That's what I'm saying. That we are y'all Achilles heel and stuff. And he loves her, and I do think she loves him. Yeah, she was playing him at first, but I do think she has fallen in love with him.
Yeah, I have a feeling he wasn't going to take her out. Like, as much as he probably would have done it for anybody else, he really does have feelings for her. And
but that's a big thing though to swallow. You saw Lamar leaving your house where Kato is. And I don't care how much love you got going on now. It's just me talking. I'm not in that situation. So I don't know what I would do with this kryptonite thing going on. But for me, you got to do more than just look at it from that love angle. You got to look at it from Lamar, we know is totally loco. And he's up in my house, which is, I like to know how he got. And even he pointed it all out. He said, stash house. He did his 1, 2, 3s, and he still comes out with that. Okay.
Well,
we don't know. We don't know. Next week we don't know what he might do.
Right.
Because he also said, I got to tell Meech.
That's what he said.
But Kato kind of convinced him. She was like, why don't me and you handle it? We can handle. She's trying to cut a deal on the side, and basically, let's leave Meech out of this, and me and you handle it.
I wouldn't trust.
So it seemed like B. Mickey was kind of in agreement, like, okay, maybe we'll give it a shot. I think what Kato has going for her this week is the whole situation with Lopez, because she proved to be
loyal to the Big 50 boys.
Yes, because Meech was about to get hemmed up by Lopez when he went on his little wild tangent and decided he was going to chase down everybody anyways when Bryant told him not to.
He should have stayed his butt in the car.
Yeah, and what was he chasing them down for in the first place, other than the fact you saw him on the street? So what would you?
Hoodies on.
Yeah,
right.
That's right. All right, you
had already put out the word. She was like, they're basically tracking down any black males that look like they're under 30.
Right, so you can get arrested by wearing a hoodie out in the street during the rain. So that's your call. Yeah, let's get them because they're black wearing hoodies. Yeah. Oh, how many? Okay, guys.
But we heard that story before.
Haven't we?
Hoodie and Skittles.
It worked out for him.
And tea.
He thought it was Meech's crew, and he turned out to be right because he got Meech. And so what Kato had going for her was that she came in the nick of time and kind of saved Meech from being arrested.
She was clutch.
She ended up actually killing Lopez, which that's a whole nother can of worms to have to deal with.
Well, at least nobody knows that except
the police and them.
And that's why he didn't give her up.
The police don't know because nobody saw Kato actually hit him in the head.
No, they don't know it was Kato, but they know, like, okay, we got a dead cop now. We on the hunt for his killer.
And that's going to be a really serious hunt. You know how they are when cops get killed.
Right. Somebody's going to have to start talking because right now there's only a few people that know.
I'll get to that in the predictions though. But like I said, Kato proved to be loyal this week. And so I think that when B. Mickey was considering it, he's like, okay, she came through in the clutch for Meech. And so maybe this whole ordeal with Lamar, maybe she's telling the truth. Maybe he did, back her into a corner, and maybe I can be her savior. Men like to flex and try to come to their woman's aid.
Look at Ron's face.
That's the other issue. Meech had already told him they was going to have to end that.
Exactly. Yeah. Told him twice. You got to end it and end it now. And, it might be true that we like to come to your aid only when your aid is aidable.
But you think he's young too? He's still young, and maybe
I'm blaming the youth. I was young too, but I mean, there's just certain things and certain things you should know. I mean, I got the youth thing, but come on now, it ain't all about youth. It's about how you think. You got to think.
He's a sucker for love, Ron.
Yep. And BMF might end up stepping away from Meech now. This might cause them, if he survives this season, maybe he starts his own thing and he steps away from Meech now.
Yeah, it makes sense. I know he loves this woman, but I'm saying that at some point, you gave all the 1, 2s, and 3s about what she's done, and she did tell him the truth that she was with him before. What were we about to say, Lamar? Go ahead.
I'm with Ron. She could do a complete 360 and change and be on the up and up, but that seed of distrust is always planted. I don't know if he can ever 100% trust her, because he knows at the end of the day, she's self-serving, as everyone is, right? Most people are that way. You do things for survival, but I think she's proven that she will betray the whole group.
Yeah, I'm not
even if he steps away, does he step away with her? Does she survive this thing?
Right.
But I think that seed has already been planted. She should be burned from my perspective.
And
I saw it looked like in the previews that Lamar had snatched her up in the season finale. Yeah. So I don't know. Who knows if she makes it or not.
Well,
and fool me once, but fool me twice. See, I would not, honestly, as a man, it would take me a whole lot to say, well, does she really love me, or was this a whole play thing with she and Lamont the whole time? Because
I'm sure they're thinking that though.
Well, he should think a little hard about it, because you got to ask that question. If you roll with her, that's what's on your head. She could be leading you to Lamar.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna just go ahead and throw my prediction out there. But at the end of the episode, we seen Bryant roll up on Meech, and he's kind of telling him like, "Yo, my partner got killed, and we need some answers." And so he's kind of probing Meech to get some details, and Meech is like, I'm not telling you nothing. And there was a kind of a threat that, Bryant put out there. He was like, send your mom my condolences. And so I'm like, oh, so he's throwing threats out there at Meech now. Yeah. So I think this could be a fair trade-off, because Bryant wants details on who killed his partner, and Meech, if he finds out what Kato has done and that she has showed that kind of disloyalty by playing both sides of the fence, he might offer her up, because it's a win-win for him. He gets rid of the disloyalty in his crew, and he gets Bryant off his back by giving Kato up.
Well, how about they offer Lamar up? Because that helps everybody.
Both of them, for real. So that was my prediction. I was like, that would take care of the problem itself. And Lamar could go down by himself. I'm sure nobody would complain about that. But I think LaWanda is right when she says that, especially with a person like Meech, I don't think he's going to be as forgiving as B. Mickey is about that kind of disloyalty, because B. Mickey has the rose-colored glasses on. He's in love, so he's kind of seeing through her faults. But Meech would be like, no, you got to go.
And Terry too, because Terry already seemed like he wasn't really rocking with her. Right. Anyway, he was always, they always had a little bit of tension. So I could see him be like, oh nah, get her up out of here.
So to me, it seems like it would be an even trade-off. That's my prediction. So we'll see if it happens. I don't know. The other part of this episode, they have issues with their connect. So Terry tries to go in and talk to Big L and get her off of his back, and she's like, nah, y'all ain't getting no extension. So they ended up having to hit the streets, which is why Meech ended up getting snatched up in the first place. But this is still an ongoing problem for them, because a cop is now dead. So if you thought the block was hot before, it's going to be way hotter now. And so how are you going to sell your product in order to meet this deadline? That's still a huge issue for them, on top of everything else they have going on. So I don't know. Big L, she seems like she's nice, and she might be somebody that's interested. Like, I don't think she is somebody that they would think, okay, she'll take us out or something like that. And when I say nice, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think she's threatening.
But I think that makes her dangerous.
Right. And I was going to say that. Exactly. Because they might underestimate what she can do because she's a woman, because she's in this artsy world, and because she doesn't appear threatening. Mm-hmm. And so I think that if they test their luck with her, she's going to come back and show them who's really boss.
Right. You don't get to be a connect without having some type of, you
gotta have some muscle.
And I think Barry gets it. I mean, he didn't fight it. When she said you need to go out there and do and make this deadline, he didn't argue the fact. He went out and tried to do it. So I think he has an eye on her. He knows what she may be able to do. It's just that they're between a rock and a hard place right now, and it's only because you didn't take out that loose ends. I'm glad to see that BMF has been told to leave Kato alone. That should have happened a long time ago. And maybe if it had, if y'all hadn't gotten all joined together like that in the first place, the truck would still be there, and you'd still have the stash house possibly. But those loose ends have got to be tied up, and the sooner the better, because y'all are just getting in deeper and deeper. It's like quicksand. You keep moving, and the more you move, the more you sink. And that's what's happening with them because of these loose ends.
Yeah. They got a lot to tie up. I mean, it's a lot going on, and I feel bad for them, but they kind of put themselves in that spot. I mean, you do something and all of the dominoes keep falling in a row. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think what we should see next week is hopefully all of these loose ends get tied up. Maybe we'll have a resolution with Lamar, and with him getting out of here, maybe he'll be one less of a problem for them. But it's still the captain of the police force. Like, she is very, it seems like she's a thorough person, and she's the type that wants answers, and she doesn't just settle for good enough. And so I feel like she's going to continue to be a huge issue for Terry and Meech, and even Detective Bryant going forward, because she confronted him and was like, look, if you dirty, I'm gonna wash you, and I'm gonna hang you out to dry. So I was like,
and we see that Lopez did just as we thought. We said, well, he's either dirty or he's gonna snitch, and that's what he did. He apparently did dine Brian out to her. So
so now, even though he's gone, that seed is still planted.
He's gonna be on her radar.
But it's funny, we were talking before the show. Again, lack of communication. If I were Detective Bryant and my boss says, your partner saw you being given an envelope from Meech, I would say, yeah, he tried to bring me in on this thing, and I gave it back to him to let him know that I'm a real cop. He could have said something to that effect, but instead he manned up and cussed her out and did all these other things. So now he's even more suspect in her eye now because he didn't play it right.
Well, I was wondering if she suspected him of having involvement in Lopez's death.
Well, she asked him.
It seemed like she was kind of insinuating that.
Well, she asked him.
She did say that.
She did say that.
She said, if I find out that you're involved, then yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that whole situation, I mean, he really gonna have to find a way to clean that up, and he's gonna have to be on up and up. He's gonna have to, really be pristine in that office.
What I thought though, when at the end of the scene where he and Meech meet, I thought that he was, maybe perhaps going to team up with Meech to get Lamar out quickly. That's what I was thinking. Maybe these two are going to work together to get Lamar out instead of he threatening Meech, because I don't know what good that's going to do to threaten Meech. Meech is not.
Well, because I feel like Brian is desperate. I think that's why he threatened Meech, because he's like, listen, and he didn't say to Meech that this was what was happening, but he's under fire. He's on his boss's radar, so he's like, Meech, give me something. Well, tell me who killed my partner. And Meech is like, I can't do that.
I think he believes Meech killed him, because if you think about it, they were sitting in the car together. It was pouring down raining, and Lopez says, oh, I think that's Meech's crew. And so he runs out and chases after him. So the last thing Bryant hears is, okay, that's Meech's crew. I see my partner chase after him. Next thing I know, I spot him.
But it was 4 of them. He didn't know it was Meech, though.
Right. But he knows it's Meech or somebody
somebody from his crew.
Exactly. Right. And so he's kind of like, I know it was one of y'all. So give it up. Like, tell me what's going on.
And Meech is like, no, because I think in that moment, Kato is his people, and he's being loyal to Kato.
Right. And that's why if B Mickey is going to be the key to this, if he tells Meech what happened at his house with the whole Lamar ordeal, then Kato is as good as gone. But I feel like B Mickey is going to withhold that information and try to, deal with Lamar on his own. It's going to be a big problem because I don't think that they can do that. I really don't think that they'll be successful in dealing with Lamar because he can outrun 4, guys with guns. What they gonna do?
And B Mick got to be careful too, because but he's got to be careful too, because if he did rat out Kato can say to Meech, well, B Mick and I were thinking about, leaving and starting our own thing. So he's not as loyal to you as you think he might be. So he even has more of a reason to not rat out Kato because they were planning to go on their own.
Well, I think with B Mickey though, it might not work out with him trying to get at Lamar by himself because I think he can be impulsive too, because we saw that with how he killed J-Mo. And then this episode, he almost killed a little boy at Ramon's house.
Yeah.
Meech had to push his gun away.
Yeah.
And stuff because he was just gonna shoot. Yeah. And it wasn't even Lamar, it was a little boy. So he could be impulsive.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to next week. This episode we also got a little sneak peek at Eminem's character as White Boy Rick. I mean, I thought he would have a bigger role in the episode, but they just kind of like giving us a taste,
cameo. Yeah. It was good to see him. And we didn't even mention that Fifth directed this episode.
Yes, and I know he was really excited about that, and of course, it got leaked a little early, and he went off on everybody. But I'll let you know, 50, I did not watch the leak. I waited and watched it when it came on at midnight. So if that's any consolation, I hope it helps. And I think that you did a great job directing this episode. It was actually really good. I just think that as storyline goes, I think we're all like on the edge of our seats waiting for some kind of resolution with Lamar, and we didn't get it this week.
I don't want a resolution. I want him dead. I want him dead.
That's what I mean by resolution.
I know what you mean, but that word resolution is too long. I want dead. I just need him dead.
No, Lord, no. Well, look, he did a great job directing this episode, but Fifth, I'm sorry, I did watch the leak. I just kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to spoil it for everybody else. But it was a bad cut anyway, so
Well, I watched it. I didn't watch it early, and I'm glad I didn't. I mean, not that it would have mattered because it still is.
No, I just sat on it.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna watch it with everybody else next week. But I saw
we're loyal folk. We're not gonna, we're not gonna put it out any sooner than it has to.
No.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I can say that I was kind of on the edge of my seat, hoping to fall off. Because Lamar met his demise, but that didn't happen. So,
I don't know if he's gonna meet his demise this season.
Yeah,
he might be sent away, to jail or whatever. But Eric Kofi Abrifa has been amazing as Lamar, and this is a great show anyway. But his performance also really catapulted this season. He killed it. Everybody did.
Yeah. So hats off to everybody involved. I mean, I think this is a great first, a premiere for a show. There was so much anticipation because a lot of people know the story. And so just getting into the intricacies of the things we don't know, although some of it has been fictionalized, I think it's just the excitement of that whole world and the fact that at least some of it is based on a true story. So it's exciting to hear the story. And then I think the other part of it is just like having a cast that matches up to the story. When you have a cast that can deliver talent wise, it just makes it all the better. So congratulations to everyone involved. You guys did a great job. Definitely looking forward to the finale next week. So
before we go though, I want to ask this of you. Do you all remember the first season with Power? Did you feel the same way with Power as you do with BMF? I mean, if you were comparing the two, I think, I know it took me a few I don't know if I think I got more into Power the second season than the first. But
no, I was excited about Power from day one, because there wasn't anything on TV that reminded me. I mean, that like that, and it gave me the feel of like The Wire all over again. Like I used to be really excited to watch The Wire. Shoot, I still watch old episodes of The Wire. So, but I am really excited about this season of BMF though.
Right.
Like it's been amazing.
Yeah, and I was gonna say Power was also like kind of a love story too, because you got the romance side of it. But then at least with BMF, like, and kind of what I said before, and 50 kind of echoed these words when we went to the premiere for the first episode. But he was saying Power was great and it had its, you know, excitement and that whole world. But this is based on a true story, and I think that's why it brings that edge.
Okay.
Absolutely. That, the true story, and the fact that it's not just a gangster story, it's about family too. So I think the family aspect of it also makes this really, you know, a powerful drama.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying it. Next week it looks like family is in turmoil because Lucille is hollering at Meech. You know, you're not who you used to be, basically, is what she's saying. And I mean, it's going down next week. It's going down.
We should go live next week, y'all, for the finale. I don't know what y'all think. Think about it. But
we can.
Yeah.
We should go live.
In the comments, let us know if you would like to see us go live so that you all can participate too in some of our
chat with us and stuff.
Yeah.
And see, can we maybe somehow, I guess, if we do decide to go live, decide on a time so we can all let them know.
Oh yeah, I mean, like right after it goes off, like boom, watch the finale, boom.
Oh, you meant okay.
Yeah, I mean,
we can work that out offline.
And offline.
Yeah, we gotta work that out. Definitely.
We will. So yeah, catch us. We'll definitely post about that on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. We'll put the details of, you know, our going live or not on there. So make sure you follow us at The Spot Real Talk on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Also, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, like the video, and click the notification bell so that you get alerted whenever we post. And also, we have a very special drop for you guys. We had the pleasure and the honor of talking to Slick and Saki, who are played by Miles Bullock and Lil Zane on the show. So they are part of the BMF cast, and they took some time out to chat with us. So that interview will be dropping very soon. So be on the lookout for that. That's the one you don't want to miss. So make sure those notification bells are on so you get alerted once it drops.
Yes. Thank you, Miles. Thank you, Zane. Thank you, Stars.
Believe it. Yes. Thank you.
You guys, are we in agreement that Meech should get the hands this week?
I think so. Okay. I mean, it's not like
he's just a steady hands guy. He's always
no. We don't. Lamar stays on it. Lamar is constantly on the hands list, so you know he's a permanent resident. But I think Meech should join him this week.
Yeah, he was a little insensitive this week.
Yeah, he was.
He's always that way. Think about it. He's always thinking of nothing but himself. I mean,
yeah, but now a kid has died, so I mean, it's just.
I mean, the question. I understood the question he had. I mean, the
question was legit. The timing was bad.
Well, I started to say he's just an idiot when it comes to, when to say something and when not to. Obviously he has brain power, but he's just an idiot when it comes to when should I talk and when should I not talk. And that was one of those times.
I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say that either.
Concerned about the business over the human aspect of it.
There you go.
You have some empathy.
I would say that.
Well, it's still not to say that he didn't. It's just to say that by coming up with that statement, we assume that that's the way it is. I don't know, but it just wasn't the right thing to say at that particular point in time.
No, it wasn't.
Some people have that little thing they can't shut down in their brain.
But I don't think he's an idiot. I just think he's.
No, I said an idiot when it comes to that. Now I know he's not an idiot because you can't run a business like that and be an idiot. It's just knowing when to open your mouth and when not to open your mouth.
Would it be disrespectful to put Lopez on the hands list? Because had he stayed in the car,
he can get the hands. Look, rest in peace, Lopez. But you can still be on the hands list.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to do
stayed in the car and scratch those tickets off.
Yeah, he could. Right.
Maybe
Eat your donuts. Eat your donuts.
Maybe we need to
stay in the car. Eat your donuts.
No, maybe we need to do a rip piece. You know, I can't give him the hands for dying. You know, because he was, you know, he was trying to do his job, but
trying to do your job. Chasing some hooded black teenagers in the rain. That you hadn't seen do anything at that moment.
You remember the scene before when they just saw black people standing on the street and they just grabbed snatched. Yeah.
I support your nomination.
Yeah, we can put them on there.
All right, so we got Meech on the hands list. We got Lamar stays on there, and we're putting Lopez on the who can get the hands list.
Yep.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Y'all cool.
Well, I think we have kind of wrapped everything up that we needed to include. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you are back here same time, same place next week, and we'll give you details about whether we go live. But in the meantime, thank you all for watching and have a good night.
All right. Good night.
All right.
I'ma need safety. Tell her I can't snake me. Ray gun on safety. My girl so tasty. Tell her it's your world. She want the two-tone spaceship. Blow smoke screen daily, so the stress don't faze me. I'm going, I keep it factual. I'm on sabbatical. I'm out in Central America. I need a break from hysteria. Park like the one with the carousel. I get it lit in your area. I'm locked to the vision, it couldn't be clear. You couldn't pay me to care enough. I dare you to hate me supreme with the sound through the stereo. So turn it up loud when you hearing us. We live and it's good in your area. My mama proud, she tearing up and it's going down.